What's going on, Bulls Nation? And welcome into a fresh live episode of the CHGO Bulls Podcast, presented by PointsBet. Don't forget to use that promo code CHGO when you sign up to live your bet life. Happy St. Patty's, everybody. Hope everybody's enjoying their day out there in Chicagoland and Bulls Nation. I'm Matt Peck. You can follow me on Twitter at Bulls_Peck. You can follow Big Dave, who's right down there at BAWL Sports. You can follow Mr. Will Gottlieb at Won't Gottlieb. And joining us today, happy to have him, Mr. Kyle Williams in the building. He's actually down at our West Loop Studios right now. We're all at home. He's busy working. Follow Kyle on Twitter at K_Williams Media. Kyle, what's going on, buddy?
What's going on, guys? I'm happy to be here. Happy to do this. Just got off the Cubs about 30 minutes ago, so I'm excited.
Man, it's hard working, man.
Everybody's
making the rounds today.
Baseball right now. Kyle is the utility player that every good Chicago media team needs.
Fact.
It's a happy St. Patrick's Day, and it's a happy birthday to you, Matt.
Oh, thank you. I got my Lucky Leprechaun shirt on. You know, he's dancing.
Yeah,
he's
can we
drinking
discuss
beer.
this? Yeah, can we talk about
and
this?
Then he's barfing a rainbow into a pot of gold. How great is that?
Talk to me about the hat, though. Talk to me about the hat.
It was a gift from one of my many friends who loves St. Patty's as much as I do, because it was the day that I entered this world.
Okay. How long do you wear this only on St. Patrick's Day? Like, you don't wear it when you go golfing or anything?
I wear these two items once a year. Today.
Okay.
No, I don't wear it when I go golfing. Also, I don't golf, so that's not a concern.
All right. Is there pants?
What?
Are there pants?
No.
Okay.
There are green suspenders though. But I'm going to class it up a bit when I go out to dinner with some friends tonight. Just a green tie, maybe a green pocket square. We'll see.
All right.
Guys, we got a bunch of fun stuff to talk about today. We got to talk about these playoff projections that just came out from 538 that don't look too good for our beloved Bulls. Because we have March Madness kicking off today, we also want to talk about the some of the legends of Bulls past and present who had some pretty impressive March Madness runs deep through the tourney. But we've got to start with the most important news of the day, and that's the update that the Bulls officially assigned Patrick Williams to the Windy City Bulls earlier today. Mr. Gottlieb, does this mean that we are inching ever closer to Patrick Williams' return? They said he could be returning as soon as next week.
The return is coming. Yesterday, before the game, Billy Donovan told reporters via Zoom that he is with the Windy City Bulls. He's going to be practicing with them for the rest of this week and the weekend, and could potentially play games in Hoffman Estates, but not sure yet. But he did not rule out Monday. He seemed, I would say, unlikely to play on Monday, but we did not get a hard rule out. So Monday at home against the Raptors is on the table. They have two more games next week, Tuesday night at Milwaukee and Thursday night in New Orleans. So it'd be nice to get him back for a home game, but I think he's coming back next week at some point or another.
Yeah, I'm excited. Very, very, very excited. It just honestly, it speaks to youth as well. Matt and I have called him the Wolverine for a long while because of his fast healing powers. When he went down, it was supposed to be 6 to 8 weeks. Today marks month 5. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's coming. He's been healing very fast and very quick. And yeah, I agree. It's going to be next week. I'm thinking it's Monday. If I hear questionable, he's playing. That's all I know. If I hear questionable, he will be out there on Monday.
Ever optimistic, Dave.
Love it. What are you thinking about for P-Dub's return, Kyle?
I think it's going to be Monday. I'm not going to get my hopes up. I've been burned in the past with the Bulls when it comes to returns, specifically in my formative years. But I have hope for Monday.
I mean, the interesting thing will be seeing how often Billy fits him into this rotation. We've seen a lot of Javonte Green as this team's starting power forward, probably more so than Bulls fans wanted or expected when we were getting ready to start this season. Derrick Jones Jr. has filled in admirably off the bench at times. He's going through a little bit of a shooting lull, and he's also, to his credit, battling an injury himself. He's playing with a broken finger right now and just decided to come back because the Bulls were that short on available bodies. Will, are you in favor of this idea that Billy has to kind of like ease him back into things and start him off with the bench role?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's basically in a position where, for me, like anything you really get out of him in terms of production is sort of bonus. It's extra credit. I'm not expecting too much from him. I think, he's been in the past sort of quiet at times, floating around the court. I think obviously his value comes on the defensive end. I just am going back and watching some old film to hopefully do a story on just like what value he can provide. And he's like kind of what you remember in terms of being a good cutter, good positional defender. I think he'll allow the Bulls to do a little bit more switching and basically bring a little bit of what Javonte does in terms of defense, plus, that added element of shooting. So I would say the big takeaway from the film review is just that he's sort of a utility kind of infielder like Kyle down there, and can do a lot of stuff, but none of it's going to really wow you. And then the other thing was that I just totally forgot about Alize Johnson. He used to be on the roster, and I forgot about that.
Didn't he just get his second consecutive 10-day somewhere? New Orleans, right?
Shout out.
The revenge game on next week today, the 24th.
12 rebounds coming up.
Man, I think one of my favorite moments of the season was that reaction Alize had from the Bulls bench when I can't remember which ridiculous DeMar play it was, but a ridiculous DeMar play that caused Alize Johnson to like faint on the Bulls bench. And he just laid down. It's fantastic. ZZ in the comments saying P. Will coming back is not a game changer. He hasn't played all year. He's going to need even a few weeks to get back into game shape. By then, it's too late. Ooh, what do you think about that Bleak take there, Dave?
I agree. I agree with game changer. He will help, but again, he's not the savior. I agree with that. I don't know about a few weeks to get back into game shape because, like I said, he's the Wolverine. His win will be back up. He'll take a couple of games, and then I think he'll be okay. And plus, they're going to bring him along very slowly. I think he's not like he's going to come in starting right away. They're going to bring him off the bench. They're going to limit his minutes, and he'll be all right. He'll fit in just fine. And the biggest thing for me, because Will is correct in everything that he said, that the Bulls are going to need from him. But for me, the biggest thing is size. Like, that is the main thing that this team is still truly lacking, is true size. And he's going to provide that at that 4 position, man. I can't wait to see that. I'm excited to see him. I really am.
So
what are we thinking? Maybe like 20, 25 minutes out of the gate when he makes his first appearance next week?
I would say around there. Around 20 more. I mean, in 20 minutes of Patrick Williams is still a legitimate NBA wing that can switch and do all of these things like Will has talked about. And I don't see how he's not going to come in and just demand the ball and start ISOing. Like like when he was on the court, he was a very team-oriented player and kind of blended in with everybody. So I think it's going to be a very easy transition for him to get back onto the Bulls.
Yeah, I'm actually not super worried about his conditioning. We've talked about it before. It's a wrist. So I know he's been able to sort of ramp up and keep that conditioning high. Obviously, like playing in games and getting that rhythm down is a much different thing than, being on the treadmill or the bike or whatever. And so hopefully he gets those reps with Windy City. I definitely agree that like the size element is a really important one. Javonte's been great. I'm a huge fan of sort of the energy and hustle, and he's a smart defender too. Javonte is. Yeah. So I love him in that role, sort of like we talked about with Caruso, where he can continue to come off the bench and slot into that 12 to 18 minute role, play some tough defense, give him a different look, and Pat with his size also being a good defender, getting his offense in the flow and not really eating up too much usage. I think he's gonna work his way in naturally because he's not that commanding, iso ball guy that Kyle's talking about.
Yeah, as Adam said in the comments here, Pat should be conditioned since it wasn't a lower body injury. Just like Alex Caruso and his wrist, P. Will nursing a wrist, meant that he could still get on the treadmill or get on the bike while he was rehabbing this wrist injury. And while Caruso did say after his first game back a couple games ago that he did get winded a couple of times, it didn't look like it to me. That one play where Caruso went full length of the court in both directions, making a ridiculous chase down defensive stop on one end, and then ran all the way down, to be the trailer who got the pass and went up for a layup and got fouled on the other end. That did not look like a guy for whom conditioning was an issue. And again, P-Dub is 6 years younger than Alex Caruso and a freak of nature. I don't think conditioning will be an issue for Patrick. I really don't.
No, I don't either. And you remember when the Bulls had to force him to take a break and stop playing basketball because he would not leave the gym? Like, that's the kind of player he is, man. He is a gym rat. That's all he does. Even when he hurt his wrist, he still was trying to get up shots before the game. You know, like, that's the kind of person he is, man. So, yeah, he's going to be out there. His conditioning will be fine. And I just can't wait to see what he can do and what he can provide for this team.
UK Chicago Bulls fans hanging out. What's up, guys? Saying our bench is going to be full of hustle and energy. Might you say heart, hustle, and muscle?
Oh,
shout out, Stacy. Speaking of muscle, the thighs, gentlemen. Did you see the picture that the Bulls posted on Twitter of Mr. Williams getting shots up? Not that Mr. Williams, the other Mr. Williams. There we go.
Yeah.
Kyle, how are your thighs down there?
Man, I wish they were like his.
Thick thighs save lives, baby.
Tree trunks, man. Tree trunks.
He is an immovable object down there. Like, I was watching some film, and he guys are going to score. Like, good offense is just going to beat good defense for the most part. But he's really hard to move down there as a post defender. And to your point, Dave, like, the Bulls don't really have that guy. You know, maybe he even plays some small ball. I would love to see him at the 5, as you know how much I love those small lineups.
Yes.
But he's just another added, versatility tool that Billy can go to, assuming he is, playing at a decently high level.
He just turned 20 in August?
No, he will be 21 this coming August.
Oh,
yeah.
He's still so young.
Still crazy. Yeah.
Can't
still
drink.
crazy.
Cannot have a Guinness on St. Patty's Day.
Can't hang out with Uncle Matty. Can't hang out with you. No.
I would not bring my dear sweet Patrick Williams along drinking with me on St. Patty's Day.
Okay.
We gotta protect him. We gotta keep him safe. Uncle Matt turns into a hooligan on St. Patty's Day.
A nice hooligan, right?
You stay in the gym, Patrick. You stay there in the gym.
That's true.
I'll buy you a beer in August. How about that?
I have seen you on St. Patrick's Day. I can attest to this. This is true. But it's a nice hooligan. I would say it's a nice one, though. It's not an obnoxious one. It's a nice hooligan.
Never an obnoxious drunk, never an angry drunk, always a happy drunk on St. Patty's Day.
That's true, man. That's true.
All right, guys. We got a lot more to get to, including these playoff projections from 538 that are going to bum me out. But we got to talk about it anyway. Before that, though, mentioned at the top of the show, today's episode brought to y'all by PointsBet, our wonderful friends at PointsBet. The best way to support CHGO, this platform right here that you're watching and tuning into, is to download the PointsBet app and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. If you do it right now, you will get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. We've still got tons of games on deck today and then tons more tomorrow. But that's not it. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our exclusive web content, like our writing from Will Gottlieb and all of our other insiders covering our other Chicago teams. And you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. That's $2,000 of free bets, a free CHGO membership, and a free t-shirt from the CHGO locker, all for making a $50 first-time deposit just to have fun with PointsBet. If you got any questions, you can also email us, pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we will help you out. Introducing PointsBet's new feature, live college basketball same-game parlay. For the first time ever, you can build the perfect live same-game parlay only with PointsBet. Combine your favorite bets anytime during the game. You want more? You can also boost those live same-game parlays. Watch live, parlay live, boost live with PointsBet. And now, online sign-up, that's right, is available in Illinois. You can do it right from your phone in the comfort of your home, people. What are you waiting for? Plus, during PointsBet March Madness, all users can earn up to $100 in free bets. During each round, just place a $50 pregame wager and get a free $20 bet live to be used for that round. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. And don't forget that promo code CHGO.
Dulcet and smooth. I love it. All those tones. You know what? I want to talk about something that I like talking about. And that's watching Matt Peck get healthy. That's watching him do healthy things. If you tuned in yesterday, you saw that man drinking something and he tasted it and he said, you know what? This is damn delicious. And you know what? It was healthy for him. And you know what it was? It was Athletic Greens. All right. You're wondering, what is this stuff? What is it? Well, with one, y'all, not two, not three, but just one of them things. One delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. All the things that my man Matt Peck needs to kick it tonight. That's why it's important. And don't just take my word for it. No, don't just take Matt Peck's word for it either. How about that smooth, cool man up there that they call Will Gottlieb with the good hair? Will, can you tell him about it, sir?
I've been taking it for about a week now. What you do is you take a scoop of the AG1 powder, you put it in 8 to 12 ounces of water first thing in the morning, before your coffee, before your breakfast. And it's a great way to start your day. It tastes good. It's easy. You shake it up, you drink it. And yeah, provides some focus, allows you to absorb all the nutrients from healthy foods that you're eating throughout the day, and it tastes good. So I've been enjoying it. I'm sticking with it for a while, and yeah, I highly suggest that you do the same.
Yes, and we're going to get Kyle on this too, because everybody's going to get on the Athletic Greens train, y'all. And right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with the convenient daily nutrition. Like I said, it's just one scoop in that cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills, no supplements, nothing like that. To look out for your health and to make it even easier for you, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5, count on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/CHGO Bulls. And again, that's athleticgreens.com/CHGO Bulls and take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Athletic Greens, because Matt Peck drunk it.
Can't get better recommendation than that.
I mean,
shout out to our pal Troy, who said, proud of you, Matt. We need you staying healthy so you can stick around and talk Bulls with us. Well,
yes.
That's the reason I do it. That's the why, you guys. Big Dave said, hey, drink this green stuff. It's good for you.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know. And he said, Bulls game. And I said, okay. All right, y'all. Next topic up on deck. We got to talk about these 538 projections. 538, running and crunching all kinds of numbers. These numbers don't make me feel super good. The Bulls, let's start with this. Their projected final 82-game win-loss record is 47-35, meaning that they would finish 6-7 in their remaining 13 games because they are currently at 41 wins. I saw that, and I was like, that's actually not as bad as I thought. I mean, I don't know how we've gotten to this point, but I saw the Bulls finishing 6-7 with this schedule and thinking, could be worse. It could easily be worse.
Yeah, agreed. Could definitely be worse, man. I saw that and I was like, yeah, that's about right? Like, I think that's what we kind of had them at, Matt. When the season, before the season started, we had the Bulls kind of finishing 6th, getting over 45 wins or, close to it or something like that. So, yeah, the projection is kind of right on par with, I think, where we kind of had them at.
Yeah, and it took a different trajectory, I think, than we and most Bulls fans thought, right? Where you get off to this hot start and you're playing your best basketball right out of the gates. All of a sudden, the entire team gets COVID and Lonzo and Patrick Williams and Alex Caruso all go down and things get really tough on the schedule and you start dropping these games. And all of a sudden, your point differential and your net rating are like right around 1. And that is the equivalent of like a 500 team. And so right now we're seeing a team that, might end the season, 41-41, 42-40, and they're overperforming that. So it's actually, all things considered, I think they're still in a good spot standings wise. But Yeah, I think the more concerning bit here is just like what that will mean for the first round of the playoffs. Like we're looking at the 6th seed or the 5th seed as opposed to the 2nd or 3rd or even 4th seed where you end up with home court advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you would have told most Bulls fans at the beginning of the season that they would finish in 45 to 47 wins, they'd be ecstatic. It's just the kind of like Will mentioned, it's just the way the season went about happening. They started off hot with one of the better teams in basketball, the number 1 seed for most of the season. And then they just ended up where they are now with the recent slide combined with injuries. And I mean, 47 wins is still 47 wins. That's still a very successful season.
I think the question for me is, we already saw them play at a really high level, and to see them slide and maybe, play a little bit worse than that for the last quarter or even half of the season. Does that change your opinion about what their upside is? Because like right now, I'm not confident in them winning a round given their current level of play, but the fact that they have played at that really high level, are you still hopeful there, or is there more recency bias when you're thinking about like what kind of team they can top out as?
I'm still kind of hopeful, of course. Of course, I'm still kind of hopeful that they can win a round. But again, like you said, it definitely depends on the matchup. Because you're right, if we get that 6, we might have to face at least 2 of the 3 teams that, either 2 of the 3 teams I don't really want to see. Don't really want to face in the first round. But I don't know, man. I look at it like this, Will. Like, I always feel like you can't cheat a process. And if the process means you have to go through these kind of things, to get to the other side, I really don't have an issue with that. I don't want it to be that way. Of course, you want it to be easier and you want it to be simpler and smoother because it's your team. But sometimes you got to take an ass whipping. And that's just what it might be for the Chicago Bulls going in. But I'm with Kyle. Like, if you told me that at the beginning of the season, where my head was kind of at and where it has been for this entire year, that this Bulls team would win 40 plus games and get to the playoffs, which was my whole entire goal going in. I haven't been moved off of that with the play as elite as it's been and with the play as minimum as it's been. I've still been kind of on the same path.
Yeah, even with this skid of losing 7 of their last 9 games, 538 still has them as 95% odds of making the playoffs. And that means like making the playoffs, not just to play in. So the numbers say, despite what some Bulls fans are maybe starting to worry about, that they will, unless a very unlikely scenario of them completely collapsing and other teams leapfrogging them happens, they are playoff bound. And like you said, Dave, I had the same goal coming into this season. My expectations and my goal for this team was to avoid that play-in tournament and lock yourselves in as a legitimate playoff seed somewhere like 5 or 6, 4 being like, I'm ecstatic. That's how we thought coming into the season. If the Bulls are the 4 seed in this very stacked East, that is dynamite. Hell of a job. Good job, Bulls. And now it's like just after their loss to the Jazz on Wednesday night, and they slipped from 4th to 5th, Bulls fans are talking about this being like a gigantic disaster and a failure and a this and a that. I'm like, how quickly things change.
Yeah. I will say, to answer your question, Will, I would say just the recent defensive issues are probably alarming for me, especially in that 4th quarter against Utah. They had 138 defensive rating. And granted, Utah's one of the better offensive teams, but if the playoffs started today, they'd be going up against the Boston Celtics, which not only have one of the league's toughest defenses, but they also have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, 2 wings who make some of the toughest shots you will see. And whereas one thing that the Bulls are lacking, the big wings who can also play both sides of the court. So I would say, hopefully, like that comment that just was on the screen, Lonzo Ball, we'll see how things look when Lonzo returns, but I'm not that optimistic right now.
And it's funny that you mentioned the Celtics, Kyle, because they are the team that 538 actually loves the most in these playoff projections. A team that they have at 34% odds of making the NBA Finals and 21% odds, highest of any team, to win the whole thing this year. It's crazy. The Bulls and Celtics have just kind of flipped their storylines from front and back ends of the season. At the beginning of this season, the Celtics were a disaster, and everybody was like, what the hell is wrong with the Celtics? But, if they get some guys back, they really ramp up their defense. They've been elite defensively over the last stretch of, over a month now. You got Tatum playing like, first team All-NBA kind of guy, like we've known him to be able to do before. And now that's like, oh my God, is that the Bulls' first round playoff matchup? Oh,
yeah, that's a little tough and a little ugly, man, going against that team. And I mean, we saw what it was. We played them. Remember that game that we lost when we lost to them? The game Vooch kind of had a solid game that game, but you kind of saw them kind of coming out of that funk, that game. You know what I mean? When you watched them, because it was just looking like things were starting to turn and things were starting to kind of make sense. And they did it kind of differently, because usually when you have those players only meetings so early in the season, it's never good. It's never good going forward for your team. But it seemed to work out well for Boston, man. And yeah, they just flipped that switch. And when you got two guys like Tatum and Brown, which you have two guys that can score 50 on your team at any point in time, that's always terrifying and always scary, man. And yeah, they're going to be a problem. They're going to definitely be a force.
And for me, the problem would be, the problem for me is that they're not even like fully clear of the play-in at this point. And I hate to take it down this path, but like the way that they're playing right now, and the 538 projections here have them finishing as the same record as the Raptors, with the Cavs falling, one win behind them. So I think there's a real chance that those three, two of them are going to end up at the 5-6, and then one will be in the play-in. I do not want to be that team outside looking in and end up in the play-in where you have to play, the Hawks in the first round. Those games are not a given. And then, if you don't win those, you miss the playoffs altogether. So they're definitely not out of the woods here. And that is why it's so important. Like, you look at the schedule, not only is it a difficult one coming up, but you have games against the Raptors on Monday. You have you have two more games against the Bucks. Like, these are games that they absolutely have to win. And as we've talked about, that has been very difficult for them. So not only are things trending down in terms of how they're playing, but as the schedule gets harder and these games get more important, they're also coming against the teams that they're jockeying for position with. So very important time for them at this point in the season to like flip those narratives and be able to compete and beat these teams.
Very true.
I saw that comment from ZZ that producer Joy popped up a minute ago about how the Bulls, after getting DeMar, Alonzo, Caruso, Vooch, finishing 7th or 8th in the East is not progress to me. That was the minimum expectation. Plus, DeMar is not going to have other MVP seasons. Okay, lots to break down there. One, DeMar's not having an MVP season. He's having an MVP candidate season, outside candidate season, and you don't know that he can't do it again next season. You don't know that. None of us know that. So get that crap out of here. Secondly, finishing 7th or 8th, not progress. Where did the Bulls finish last season? 11th? 12th? I believe 7 and 8 are both better than where the Bulls were last year. What's the definition? What do you call that? Progress. That's progress. Also, Will was just talking about how
don't mess with Matt on his birthday, guys.
It's not done yet. It's not all, it's not a sure thing yet. The Bulls are still at risk of falling into that play-in tournament. We know their schedule. We know that the other teams in the East chasing their heels are playing well. Maybe catching a break with that Jared Allen injury as far as the Cavs are concerned, but it's not a sure thing that they are going to fall into 7th or 8th. So there's so many misguided and convoluted thoughts in your argument there about how you're already telling yourself you're dissatisfied with this Bulls season, and I'm not here for it. Not on my birthday. Not on St. Patty.
That seems like a worst case scenario, and I think the likelihood of that worst case scenario happening is gradually getting higher, right? Like the percent chance of that outcome happening is 1 or 2 or 5% more possible today than it was before they lost to the Jazz, and 10% more than when they lost to the Kings. So as these games happen and the outcomes, depending on who wins, like this will start to crystallize and materialize in ways that, we'll have to continue to adjust our expectations. But for me coming in the season, it was like, they got to get out of this play-in tournament. That's why you give up these picks. That's why you bring in DeMar and pay him, $28 million a year. I think for me, that is still the expectation and the line of like, that this was a successful season. It was good progress versus if they end up in the play-in and potentially miss out on the playoffs, that would be a bummer. But I don't think that's like a given at this point is what I'm trying to say.
What do you think, Kyle?
I think for me, games like how the Bulls performed against the Sacramento Kings, that just can't happen in the final 13 games. And when you look at their remaining 13 games, you see a lot of tough opponents. Like even the Clippers with Tyronn Lue, their head coach, is a tough task. But going into this season, knowing everything that we know now, I mean, you got to take this as a win. Like you mentioned, going from 11 to 12 to 6, 7, 8 in the Eastern Conference, that's progress. And you've seen Zach LaVine become an all-star again. You've seen DeMar play at this high level that he hadn't shown before and have that insane stretch where he was doing Wilt Chamberlain numbers. And so having those two outcomes this season combined with a playoff berth, the only way to look at it is progress, especially when years before around this time we were looking at prospects in the March Madness tournament to who the Bulls were going to get with the 7th pick.
Yeah, it feels good to be in this position, just looking at my team and actually thinking about the possibility of playoffs. And it's a very realistic one. It's very tangible. Like I could look at it and be like, yeah, this is going to happen for the Chicago Bulls. And I haven't been able to say that. It's been more hoping and wishing and praying that the season would end for the past 4 or 5 years, but now it's like I'm getting ready for postseason play and seeing the Bulls end that. And that's a good feeling. And also, I think what was another unknown coming into the season was how good the Eastern Conference was going to be. I don't think everybody had the East being this good, with that many teams being this good in the East this year. So, and again, like I said, I haven't moved off my expectation of the Bulls at number 6. That's really where I had them. That's where I had them set at, was at number 6. So, yeah, you're right though, Will. Like, of course, your percentages go up the more you keep losing these games and the more the teams below you keep elevating. But I see Toronto elevating, but I see Cleveland falling. And I think that's what I'm like, okay, well, I'll end up where I thought that they were going to end up, which is either at the 6th seed or quite possibly even the 5. But that game on Monday, and I don't like looking ahead. I don't like looking over teams, but I just know what Phoenix is going to look like when we play them. But looking at that game on Monday, that's, for me, I mean, that's when everything kind of starts, right? Like you really need that game, and that's going to really set the tone for the rest of the games going forward, because it's a back-to-back, you know what I'm saying, going against the Bucks after that. But that Toronto game, man, you've got to get that one, because they've had 2 losses so far that I just didn't see them losing. The rest of them, I was like, they'll probably lose those. But the 2 were Atlanta and Sacramento. And those were the 2 I was like, oh, yeah, they'll get those wins and be able to stem the tide and just be able to ride things out. And they didn't get those victories. So that kind of set them back a little bit on that. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that Monday game against the Raptors. It should be really, really huge and really, really important, man. And the UC should be rocking. And it hasn't been that way in quite a long time, man. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're looking at the difference between the 7th, spot in the playoffs in the standings and the 7th pick in the draft. So there's definitely been progress.
3 7
matter. Shout out to you, Fred. It's just, it's a matter of perspective. And I think if they were playing better basketball in general, I'd feel more confident. Sure. But the fact that things are sliding right now, as you mentioned, this game against the Raptors is massive for the playoff implications. They have another one against the Cavs. That, like, if they win these games, not only are they elevating themselves in the standings, but in the event of a tie, they will own those tiebreakers. So these are huge, huge games. And as we talked about, there's no more time for starting slow. It's 100% urgent for 100% of each of these remaining games.
Ryan in the comments saying it's tough to view everything through the lens we had at the start of the season. They played so well when they were healthy. hard to go back to our original outlook. I think that's fair. I think that the Bulls treated, this fan base to a wildly exceeding expectations start to the season, and then expectations adjusted. It's why I think a lot of Bulls fans are looking at a potential first round exit now as a failure. And it's kind of sucky. And it's honestly like, it doesn't seem that fair to this Bulls team to me, because those were not our expectations when we started. Or if they were your expectations when you started, you are someone with wild expectations.
Also, just to chime in here really quickly, the Bulls also, Alex Caruso getting hurt in the manner that he did, that's not something that they were exactly expecting to happen. Lonzo Ball going down, injuries happen. So the team that was really like playing at a very high level, we haven't seen those group of guys together in like two months.
Yeah. And you've yet to see this Bulls team fully healthy at all. At no point in this season have you seen them with everybody there on the roster, because even to start it off, Kobe White wasn't there. And then when Kobe White gets back, Patrick Williams isn't there. And then like Will said, a COVID set in, and then everybody was out. And then all these 6 to 8 weeks started coming up with everything. So you have yet to see the fact that they did what they did with all the injuries and craziness that was going on. And at that time, I think a lot of people expected them to fall during that time, dealing with all the things they were dealing with. So It's like that fall is kind of coming late, because it was kind of supposed to happen early on with all the craziness that they had going on. But now it's hitting them right now. You don't want it to hit them right now, but hey, man, you can't. It's the NBA. This is just what it is. You're going to take your lumps. You're going to go against these elite teams, and you're going to struggle against some of them. But yeah, they're still in a good position, and I think that's why I haven't, just gone off the handle and freaked out or anything yet, because they're still exactly on pace to do what I thought that they were going to do.
Shout out to Book of Axe in the comments, who said, boys, we still have a chance to give Boston, Cleveland, and Toronto some big L's. It's true. Look, I saw, the latest from StatMuse about how the Bulls are 2-16 this season against teams they play who are better than, was it better than 500 or who have a better record than they do? It was one of those two. Either way, bad. The latest example of, hey, Bulls can't beat good teams. It doesn't mean that it's impossible for them to beat some of these teams they have on their schedule who are in the thick of it with them in these Eastern Conference playoff race standings. Like, it's possible. Another comment I saw, vile offender. I don't want DeMar to have to be this good next season to bail us out all the time. If Zach is at 100%, it matters less. And it's not like DeMar is going to drop off a cliff after one season. Then Keith Davis quickly following that with DeMar fell off the cliff last night. You mean the game in which DeMar had 25 points on 10 of 20? Like, come on, people. But I think it's fair. Will, you talked about that at the tail end of postgame after Bulls Jazz last night, that like you went back and saw what early season Zach LaVine looked like. Speaking of things that Bulls fans so quickly forget, remember when Zach and DeMar like set a record, a Bulls franchise record for consecutive games as teammates scoring 25 or more?
Balling.
And everybody was like, wait, MJ and Scotty? And it was like, yeah, set the record. Mm-hmm. It's and how many times that they have each scored 30 as teammates this season? We are seeing a hobbled Zach, which probable is the official word for tomorrow night against Phoenix. He's playing. But Will, as you were saying last night, elite all-star Zach that we saw at the first half of this season is a different dude, and he helps DeMar a lot.
He is, and I stand by that. I think he is not looking his best, but for me, it was actually really encouraging to see him in just full-on attack mode last night. Mm-hmm. We haven't really seen it. I don't think we've really seen it since he had the initial injury. He's been floating around a little bit, picking his spots like a little bit more carefully, as opposed to like, taking it upon himself to be that driving force of the offense. I think that's why DeMar started out a little bit slow, in addition to just the way that the Jazz were defending him. But yeah, I think Zach needs to be all-star Zach. There's no two ways about it. Like, if you can talk about what the Bulls miss with Lonzo and Caruso out defensively, I mean, even Zach at 70 or 80%, like it's just the margin of error for the Bulls is so slim that you need him to have those extra 10 or 20 or 30%. And same with DeMar. Like DeMar playing at Wilt Chamberlain levels is why they were rattling off 6 straight wins. And why they had those wins, you know, on December 31st and January 1st, where he just like literally won the game for them by himself. And when they're not playing like that, the games are a lot harder and they're a lot closer. And so basically you're asking them to be superstars on a nightly basis, which is what they're being paid to do. It's what their job should be. And that makes sense, but they just have to be able to do it. And there's a ton of pressure on them. And when they're hurt or when teams load up on them in different ways, it becomes a lot harder.
Let me ask you a quick question with because you're right. We saw Zach driving to the cup pretty much all season long and not getting those calls. Do you think this 2-time All-Star and with this knee injury he's going through is why we started kind of seeing him get those calls like we did in Utah yesterday? Because he went to the line more times than I can remember him seeing going to the line as an attacker. I'm saying as him going to the bucket.
Yeah, I need to go back and rewatch the film. To me, I think a lot of the drives that he makes, he'll kind of like drive in. He loves that like right to left crossover and then drive in with like 2 hard dribbles to his left. And then, you know, that deceleration step where he kind of like pulls back and shoots it with his right hand off the glass, you know, right past the block. And like those are not going to get you foul calls because you're going away from the basket. You're not going into contact. And I think he really challenged Gobert on a lot of those drives last night. And that's what he needs to do. And again, why it's encouraging to me is that you're seeing him go into contact. You're seeing him drive at the basket and create plays for himself and others. That's really where he needs to be, especially playing off DeMar. And DeMar needs to start stronger, you know, on his own end. But that's where I'm actually pretty encouraged by the way that Zach's playing. And maybe that means that he's playing through even more pain and that's going to be even harder for him. But it still is nice to see that he's doing it.
In the 6 games that the Bulls have played in March, LaVine's averaging 26.8 points per game, which is insane. When the way we're talking about him, he's dealing with all of this pain and he's still putting up efficient numbers. And even last night, he's still a ridiculous shot maker. Like the one he hit in the corner where he dribbled and sidestepped and just knocked down a 3. Like it's insane that even at 85%, he's still one of the most lethal offensive weapons in the game.
He sure is, man. That's crazy. That is crazy, Kyle. Kyle. It's not Zach. He's just not himself. He's putting up those numbers, playing on one knee. It's bonkers. It's bonkers. I mean, I still am. I still am holding the belief that not 100% Zach means the Bulls' playoff life will be short-lived, and it sucks that's what I think. But that's what I think. All right, guys. We also wanted to have a little bit of fun before we got out of here talking about some Bulls legends who were also March Madness legends. We will get to that in just a minute. But first, Big Dave, one more time, tell the people about all the fun at PointsBet.
Oh, Kyle, listen up. Because if you don't gamble, you about to, sir. You're about to be on this, all right? This is for you. And if you enjoy CHGO, one way to help us to continue to grow is to download that PointsBet app and use that code CHGO when you sign up. Not only are you getting 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000, but if you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of the web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. Kyle, what shirt do you want, sir? What's your favorite shirt right now? What's the favorite logo for you?
The Bulls logo, of course.
Oh, I see you, sir.
Correct,
I see what you're doing. I see you coming in hot. I like it. Oh, yes. And in case anybody has missed it, listen, online sign up is available in Illinois. You don't have to leave home. All right. You can sit right in your comfy chair as I'm doing right now. Sign up on your desktop, your laptop, or your mobile device, y'all. You can actually download that PointsBet app right now and register from your account from start to finish, all from your phone. You'll be signing up with the fastest sports book, easier than ever. So you can start living your bet life in seconds. So what are you waiting for? Because once the game starts, you don't just bet. What do you do, Will Gottlieb?
You unmute yourself and you say, You live your bet life.
My man with PointsBet. He don't miss, baby. Oh, even when the ball is like, it's still cash every time.
Man, so much fun people could be having on PointsBet right now with March Madness. We already got our first upset. I love a good 5-12 upset. Iowa goes down. Hilarious. All right. Speaking of the tourney, if you're talking about Bulls players of the past who excelled in the NCAA tournament, you obviously have to start with one name and one name only, and that's MJ. I mean, before there was the shot on Elo, before there was the shot over Russell, there was the initial the shot. UNC, Tar Heels, champs, MJ, bucket. I was just a twinkle in my daddy's eye back then, Dave.
You know, it's so crazy that man has won and done that at every single level. You know what I mean? Like, that's so wild to think about. And how do you start your career like that as a freshman? You're a freshman on a team that's just that elite, you know.
And that was a time when freshmen didn't really play. I mean, I was listening to
yes. And that's North Carolina.
Yeah, he's so good. You win at the college level. You win this many times at the NBA level. You win Olympic gold medals. Like, just the GOAT.
Wait, so you guys are telling me that freshmen didn't always just go one and done right to the league?
Oh, Kyle, listen.
Not
pull
how
up
it
the
used to
chair,
work,
sir.
young man.
Sit around the fire. Hand me my shawl and my glasses, sir, and my warm cup of milk, and we will talk about the olden days of college basketball and how that didn't happen like that. No,
I mean,
sir.
Some NBA legends still play 3 or 4 college years of ball. I mean, Denzel Valentine, Chris Dunn. I mean, legends that are still playing all 3 or 4 years.
You mean like Ayo Dosunmu, who pulled out 3 of them years? Come on, baby. It's still a thing. Tim Duncan, 4 years. Let them have it. It can happen. It can happen.
It can happen.
Second name on the list of iconic Bulls with iconic March Madness runs. It's got to be my guy, Joe. Back-to-back. 06-07 Florida Gators. Hasn't been done since. Has not been done since.
Coached by our very own Billy Donovan.
Yes, he was.
Billy D.
Was. That team was mean too. They had a whip.
Horford, David Lee,
Corey Brewer.
Yeah, man.
That team was
and
loaded.
the fact that Joakim Noah for 1 year was the best player on that team, and the fact that he was the leader on that team just should say enough about the kind of player Joakim Noah was, man. Like Final Four MVP. Even when they won, he went up against Greg Oden, who was pretty much Bill Russell at that time in college. And they still got that victory, man. So yeah, man, that team, he was a beast. He was a beast.
Also makes you appreciate Al Horford. I mean, Brewer's been out of the league how many years? Joakim's been out of the league. David Lee's been out of the league. Like, Horford's still playing. He's starting on the Celtics, who, you know, have the highest championship odds per 538. So good for him, man.
I mean, Horford's had a couple of fake outs of being like, I'm done, I'm washed, my career's over. And then it's always like, not so fast. Here comes Horford again.
You get that post OKC career boost.
Yeah.
And shout out to Corey Brewer, Mr. 50-point game, Corey Brewer.
Yes,
that's my
sir.
favorite 50-point game ever.
Wow.
Man.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Just
sir.
because you
got a lot to choose from this month.
And then Joakim showed up to draft night, and then Bulls fans who didn't watch the tourney were like, who the hell is this dude that we just drafted in a seersucker suit and a bow tie? He didn't steal my heart as a Florida Gator, but he stole my heart in that moment. I'll tell you that right now.
Retire that jersey, Chicago.
Oh, we just had an episode of CHGO Sports Podcast earlier today talking about jerseys that should be retired and aren't yet across the Chicago sports landscape. I don't know if he will hang his number in the rafters, because then you have to get that conversation of, well, if his number's up there, so is Derek's. And are they retiring two more numbers?
Yeah.
Not saying that I don't agree that if you retire one of those two players' numbers, you retire both of them. It's just a question of, do you retire neither or do you retire both?
That's a good question.
All right, guys, throw them out there. Who's got another favorite? Played in the Bulls jersey in their NBA career, had an awesome trip or trips in the NCAA tourney.
I mean, you got to start with Kirk Heinrich.
Kirky.
Back-to-back Final Fours. Our boy.
Love him.
Love Kirk Heinrich.
Had the same haircut when he was playing college hoops as he did the day he retired as a Bull. Gotta love him.
Him and Nick Collison, man, they were the squad.
Yeah, I have to look at Ben Gordon, man.
I knew that's where you were going, Dave.
I purposely didn't say Ben Gordon so you could say Ben Gordon.
If I was gonna say Kirk Heinrich, if you said Ben Gordon, I had you either way. It was coming out.
That's teamwork.
Yes, it is, Will. Yes, it is. But yeah, man, Ben Gordon, he was awesome with that team. Okafor was the guy, but right behind him was Ben Gordon. He hit so many huge shots for them that season, man. And yeah, he was a beast. He was a true beast for that team.
I gotta go with Lonzo. One of my favorite March Madness memories is all year long. Lonzo De'Aaron, because Markelle Fultz was at Washington. They weren't really a factor like that, but Lonzo De'Aaron, them going at it. UCLA winning the early season matchup, and De'Aaron hanging the 39 points in the tournament. It was one of those moments I'll always remember, especially because my roommate was a big Lonzo Ball guy. So naturally, I was a De'Aaron guy. And that was one of those moments.
I thought for sure, Kyle, you were going to say Derrick Rose.
It didn't happen.
It was close.
It was neuralized from the entirety of college basketball history. That one amazing year at Memphis.
What year? What year are you referring to?
I keep looking up Memphis tourney run 2008, and I'm coming up empty. The internet's just wiped.
Mario who? The other one I wanted to call out was the last one I wanted to call out was 2008 USC, which had DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Vucevic, and Taj Gibson. They got bounced in the second round, but that's a squad right there.
As Bulls as you can get.
Did you guys see that photoshopped picture the Bulls put up today for the start of March Madness of Zoe and Zach in their UCLA Bruins jerseys and Vooch and DeMar in their Trojans? Oh my gosh, it was amazing.
Yeah, you know what?
Zach wasn't a starter Kyle, at UCLA. That's so wild to me.
That's so crazy. Right off the bench. Yes, he was
in that picture. He looks like a child, a child. He's 14 years old.
He's the only one in that picture who doesn't look like that anymore. Everybody else kind of looks the same. And Zach is the only one who was like, no, I'm taking my athletic greens and I'm changing some things up here. All right. But Kyle, I love that what you said about Lonzo and De'Aaron, because I was a huge De'Aaron Fox fan. And that what I love so much about that game was you saw the moment where Lonzo Ball said, yeah, I'm done with college basketball. you saw it in that second half. He was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm going to the league. I don't need this anymore. I'm out.
I got to throw out a couple because they're not only Bulls legends on the court, but in the broadcast booth. Stacey King, 3 trips to the tourney in consecutive years for the Oklahoma Sooners. My brother-in-law is a big Sooners guy, Sooners grad, so I've kind of adopted them as one of my college teams. And in case you haven't heard Stacey mention it before, he was kind of a big deal at Oklahoma. But
colossal. So
regional semifinals in 87 and 89, his Oklahoma Sooners went all the way to the championship game in 1988 when they lost to Kansas, led by Danny Manning. Which when I was going back and looking at late 80s and early 90s NCAA tournament runs was a name that I was like, oh my God, Danny Manning. Wow.
Danny Manning. You know what else was wild about that is the draft that ensued after that, because I think Danny Ferry went 1 and Danny Manning went 2. And oh my God, that's not good. I'll just say it like that. It's not a good thing, man.
And in 1988, do you know who Stacey King's Sooners beat in the semifinal to reach the championship game?
Who did they beat?
Because they beat Arizona with one Steve Kerr running some point.
Oh, Stevie Kerr.
Steve Kerr in Arizona was a problem.
Legend.
Dude. Yes. He's a legend out there, man.
Also a Bulls legend / broadcaster. Not a Bulls broadcaster, but a broadcaster.
That's true. That's true. And also, you can't go without mentioning another one of Matt's favorite players, Nazir Muhammad. That is one of Matt's guys right there. All right. 2-time champion. 2-time champion. Hometown. Kenwood, baby. Shout out Nazir Muhammad, man. Yeah.
And
Love
a couple
Nazir.
more Bulls on here, right? We have the Luol Deng, Chris Duhon, JJ Redick team that went to the finals. And of course the Carlos Boozer, Jay Williams team that won everything in
Chucky
2000.
Booze.
Yeah, that's true.
The Booze Cruise.
And Elton Brand also.
Oh yeah.
One of those Bulls on those Duke teams. Yeah, he did it as well. And of course, Matty Legend. We got to talk about Matt Thomas, 2-time Sweet 16 at Iowa State, baby. 2-time on there.
Get out of here.
Shout out.
Get out of here.
He had 16 points in the senior year.
If we're going to shout out multiple overachieving white guys, if we've already mentioned Steve Kerr, the next one's got to be Archie. The next one's got to be Archie. 2016 Villanova national champs. Who gave the assist on the buzzer-beating game winner? Archie gave that assist. That's right, baby.
And he's been living off it ever since, man. Shout out to
him. Bulls gave him a whole bunch of money to stick around for years.
They did. Go ahead,
All right,
Kyle.
last one. Bill Wennington. 4 straight trips to the tourney for St. John's. God, I love Bill Wennington. How about that?
He was a beast. He was a beast at St. John's. No, for real. He was a monster at St. John's, man. He
went to the semifinals one of those years with St. John. Lost in the semis to Patrick Ewing in Georgetown.
And can I just bring up real quick? Kendall Gill. Final Four. Illini, baby.
And technically a Bulls legend. One season.
Yes. One season with the Bulls
jersey.
That's right. One season with the Bulls.
Kyle's shaking his head like that never happened. Oh, it did.
It happened.
Now you get him for what? Around 70 games on the broadcast. So it all worked out.
Yeah, man. All worked out. It was all a good thing.
Who do you guys have winning it all this year?
Oh, I have
ramble on.
I'm just gonna say Illinois. I'm gonna just say Illinois. How about that? I'm gonna just say Illinois. Roll with them, baby.
Roll with the Zags. Gonzaga to get their first national championship.
Yeah, aren't they like ranked number 1 like every year? And every year they can't get it done, man. Like
this is the year. This is the year.
Right. They were playing around with Georgia State earlier today. I saw it was like a 2-point game approaching halftime. Final score: Zags by 21.
There you go. Got to do it right, man. Jalen Suggs, you know he wants that.
Yeah, I'm going Gonzaga too. I'm a big Czech guy.
Okay.
So
Arizona to win it all on the record.
There you go.
Joey
goes with Zona. Who's taking Michigan, huh? Won their first round against Colorado State?
They did.
They don't always joke, right?
They got one win in. Oh, good for them on that one. They got one win in, man. Shout out Juwan Howard.
Chicago legend right there.
Whatever. I'm
From
sure
the baby.
My Boilermakers are going to choke too, because when they get to the tourney, that's what they do. All right, that's it. We're out of time for today. Reminder, once more, use that promo code CHGO when you sign up for that PointsBet app to get those 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. Plus, if you do that $50 deposit right out of the gate, you're going to get a free CHGO membership. All of our exclusive content plus a free t-shirt. Who doesn't want that? I know you want that. For our producer, Joey, for Mr. Gottlieb, Big Dave, and Kyle. Thanks for hanging out with us, Kyle. Appreciate you, buddy. This is Matt saying, have a wonderful rest of your St. Patty's Day. We will see y'all right back here on our CHGO Sports YouTube channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like today's video if you haven't already. For Bulls pregame, our last late night tip of the season, boys. We ready? Bulls Suns, 9 o'clock Chicago time. Drink your athletic greens and maybe a cup of coffee on top of that. We will see you guys 8:30 Chicago time tomorrow for Bulls pregame right here at CHGO. See Red, be good. Peace.